Kia ora, good evening and welcome to the 99th episode of the Huddy Hui. And our guest tonight kicks off our focus on the deep south from Dunedin. Will Tucker, the halok from Otago and the Highlanders, joins us on the Hui tonight. Will, fantastic having you on the Hui. That win against Northland on Sunday, a vital win for you guys. How important was that for the Otago team?
Yeah, g'day mate. Thanks for having me on. It was a bloody good one for us actually. It sort of felt like a long time coming. A couple of days after we played North Harbour, sort of lost it at the death there, which was pretty gutting. So it was pretty cool to bounce back and get a good win and keep our season sort of rolling. Really, we needed that one quite badly. Yeah.
That North Harbour game, you were sort of trailing at half time, and then you came out of the second half out of the blocks and got yourself a bit of a lead. What happened until that last 10 minutes against North Harbour?
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough to say. We sort of we were up by 11 with maybe 20 to go, and then Brendan Gatlin was pretty classy to be fair, and so was I and Sean Stevenson, and they got one back, made it 24-20, and then bit of a dubious try at the end there, but yeah, nonetheless they got it, and then couldn't really answer, which was a bit of a shame. But no, it was a pretty good game to be fair. Could have gone either way, but yeah, no, it was a shame.
Now you've just finished your Storm week. Tell us about the challenges of 3 games in a week. Are you a big fan of the Storm week, or should they just extend the competition by another week?
Yeah, I quite enjoy. I think it's good to have some midweek footy in terms of like the supporter. Like I think it's quite cool. I think doing some more like marketing around it would be quite cool. Like that Wednesday night games. I think it's a good idea. You know, get Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Sort of like the NFL. Sort of, you know, they run the 4 days. Actually playing in it, I quite enjoy it. Like it's cool. Obviously, we don't train as much, so you're sort of just playing games, which is good. But you definitely feel it at the end of the week, that's for sure. The body's just definitely a little bit beaten up. But no, I personally think it's quite a cool part of the comp. Gives the squad.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Sorry, it gives the squad more of a, more people from the squad get a run as well, which is quite cool.
Now in round 2, you came against our home province, the Wellington Lions. What did you learn from that game about Wellington?
Yeah, no, they're a pretty classy outfit at the moment, aren't they? What is it now? 15 in a row or 16 in a row?
18, I think it is. Yeah, 18.
Oh, yeah. 18. Yeah. No, they're a pretty good side. They were able to beat us up a little bit at the breakdown, to be fair. We sort of hung in there for a while, but no, they're a good side, that's for sure.
Now, 10th on the table is Otago, 2 wins, 5 losses, and with roughly about 3 rounds to go in the regular season, can the team believe they can still make the playoffs? And who have you got left to play?
Yeah, I think we're basically in playoff footy now. Really, we can't really afford to drop another one. That was sort of the attitude going into that Northland game, and I feel like if we can build on our performance against Northland, I think we're 100% a chance. We've got the Naki this week, which will obviously be tough. They've been going quite well. And then we're up to Waikato, and then Counties at home last. So I think between the three, between Waikato and Counties, we're all sort of sitting around that same sort of points. Give or take 3 or 4. 3 wins, and it'll get pretty interesting around that bottom of the 8 sort of zone.
Does it seem to be this season that the first half for Otago, you guys are a bit slow out of the blocks?
Yeah, it has been. Definitely. And especially the games we've lost. The last, we finally had a good start the other night against Northland. We actually started really well against Harbour as well, to be fair. So the last two has been a bit better. So hopefully we can build on that, get a bit of consistency around it. But yeah, no, you're 100% right. We've struggled a little bit at the start there.
Tell us about some of the key characters in the Otago team.
There's a few. Jonah Nariki he'd be right up there, key character around the leads. Obviously one of our best players as well. He's sort of one of those guys. If he's going well, the team's going to probably go quite good. And he was bloody good on Sunday night as well, which was handy.
Now, in 2020, you were part of the Otago team that lifted the Renfrew Shield. We've got the Renfrew Shield at the moment. Tell us about the experience of winning the Log of Wood.
Yeah, it was a pretty cool day, to be fair. We played the Neckie up in Inglewood, actually, because they weren't at Yarrow that year. No, it was a good Neckie side. No, it was a pretty surreal day, to be fair. No, it was a good game. I can't really remember too much from the game, but it was it was a pretty special day to be. We played. I remember we played quite well. We only had it for 6 days, which is a bit of a shame, but we lost it the next week to Hawke's Bay. We started there, 20-game reign or whatever it was.
Now, before playing for Otago, you actually played for Canterbury, and you made your debut there in the later part of the 2010s until 2019. Tell us about your time in the factory that is Canterbury Rugby.
Yeah, played 4 games for Canterbury, debuted in 2018, then 3 games 2019. And I was actually with Canterbury. I was contracted with Canterbury 2020, but ended up getting an opportunity down in Otago. So I went on loan for the first season down here, which was awesome, and I haven't really looked back really. I've been down here since, which is it's been unreal. I've loved it. But it was good in Canterbury. The team was pretty stacked at the time, so I didn't get too much of a run. Which is a bit of a shame, but a couple of injuries as well doesn't help. But I definitely enjoyed it.
And while you were in Canterbury, what was your rugby club you played for?
My club was Christchurch. Yeah, Christchurch Rugby Club.
Oh, cool. And of course,
X-Men.
Sorry.
I believe that the X-Men is a club in Wellington as well with the same.
That is correct. Yeah, the Wellington X-Men.
Yeah.
Quite good historical connection, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Now, of course, you mentioned that opportunity for Otago came. Was that to go down to Dunedin more for study, or was it just an opportunity with rugby?
No, it was for rugby. I got the opportunity. Luckily for me, they were looking for another lock, and I was pretty keen to. I was sort of looking around because at the time it was that COVID year, 2020. So Canterbury or like Whitelock and a few of those boys played the first few rounds of MPC. So we'd actually been looking for a few weeks, and then it popped up in Otago, and that was as soon as that sort of came up, it was I'd much rather have come down here than anywhere else, to be fair.
What's been your best game in the Otago colours to date?
Oh, shit. I'd probably have to say that probably 2. The one where the Shield game definitely was right up there. And they're probably both from the first season, really. The Shield game where we won that, and then beating Canterbury in Canterbury, and it was the first time, I think, since 2005. So that was pretty cool. Pretty cool to do that.
Now, you've got a lot of young talent in the Otago team, but tell us about this player called Fabian Holland.
Yeah, big Fabes. No, he's going good. Big Dutchman. He's been playing really well, actually. It's good to see him. He had a bit of a tough super campaign. Did his hammy 2 or 3 times, so it's good to see him get a run of games, to be fair.
Now, down in Dunedin, who's your club that you play for, and how different is club footy in Dunedin compared to Christchurch?
I play for Kaikorai Demons. Club footy. It's reasonably. There's just not as many teams, really. Would be the biggest thing. I think there's not only 9 teams in Dunedin, whereas there's 12 in Canterbury. So the competition runs a little bit different. In terms of the actual footy, I think the top 3 or 4 sides going up against each other would always be a pretty good battle. It's a bit of a shame they don't actually do something like that. But I think, I think overall, year to year it always changes, but I think overall it'd be reasonably similar.
Now, of course, you mentioned 2020 disruptions. Of course, you were in line to make your debut for the Highlanders in Super Rugby in 2020, and you're all ready to go in Buenos Aires to play the Jaguares. How disappointing was it that the game got called off and you missed out on that opportunity that year?
Yeah, it was pretty disappointing, but it was sort of one of those things, really. Like they'd sort of laid down what the consequences could be. If someone was to get a major injury in the game, because it was after where they'd named the lockdown, like New Zealand was going to lock down on this date. If someone had been majorly hurt and got stuck over there, they could have ended up being there for well over a month or so. So
Yeah.
it was sort of it was bloody disappointing, but at the same time, you sort of have to be a bit realistic. And there was probably 30 guys that weren't that keen to go out there.
And when you flew back to New Zealand, did you make it back just in time?
We actually missed it. So we were actually locked. We were on our own sort of isolation for a couple of weeks before the country went into isolation. So yeah, we actually did miss it, which was a shame.
Yeah. And how do you find when you're locked? Well, some of us never experienced that, being locked away from people for a few weeks. How did you find that experience?
Yeah, it was difficult. It was pretty boring, and luckily there was a few of us in the house, so there was people to talk to and people to hang out with. But it was bizarre. It wasn't quite MIQ because we weren't locked in the. You could still go for a walk, you could still go to the park and all that sort of things. You had to stay away from everyone else. So it was definitely. It must have been better than what people did when they were in those hotels. But yeah, it was. It was bloody boring. A bit of cabin fever.
Now, of course, when did you actually make your debut for the Highlanders, and who was it against?
This year against the Blues, round 1. Yeah, down here in Dunedin.
And how special was that to be able to finally run out there after waiting nearly 2 years?
Yeah, no, it was cool. It was I really enjoyed it. I was a bit of a shame about the result, but I was lucky enough to play. My brother was playing for the Blues as well, which is quite cool. To go up against each other in my debut.
Of course, your brother as well. He's currently captain of Waikato, and no doubt you might be coming up against him in a few weeks. James.
Yeah, we've got them up there in Hamilton next week, so hopefully we'll both be playing. Would be quite good. It's always good going up against them.
Otago in the last few years has actually done the number against Waikato and Hamilton. What has been some of the keys to success for Otago up there in the Tron?
Yeah, we got them last year. Actually, it was down here, but yeah, we were able to get one up on them. It was a bit of a funny game to be fair, but I don't know what it is. It's sort of one of those teams they throw it around a lot, and luckily for us, it sort of didn't really stick for them that day.
2023 was a hard season for the Highlanders. You narrowly missed out on the quarterfinals. What has the team learnt from that campaign going into 2024?
It's tough to say, really. I think, there was definitely a few of the games where I think we probably, felt like we probably should have been on the other side of it. The thing that really let us down, I feel like, our trip to Aussie, we lost our 2 games on the road in Aussie. Waratahs, we lost on the last play. And, you win one of those games and all of a sudden you make the playoffs and it's not quite as bad a season. But, yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say what exactly was the reasoning behind it. I guess part of it, I guess maybe we just didn't click. Obviously, we didn't click as well as we would have liked on the field. But yeah.
Jamie Joseph back at the Highlanders as Director of Rugby next year, 2024. How important will it be to have Jamie Joseph back in Dunedin?
Yeah, I think it's pretty exciting for the club. Obviously, he had a lot of success while when he was last here. So, no, I mean, it can only be a good thing. I would have thought. I've personally never met him before, but yeah, it must. I think it's a big positive, and hopefully we can keep building, keep getting better and better. Really.
How do you find Super Rugby Pacific, and also with the inclusion of the two Pacific teams? Do you think it adds a new dynamic to the competition?
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I think it would be cool, especially with Fiji playing the games over in Fiji. Samoa had a game in Samoa. It'd be cool. I think next year they're going to get a few more games over there as well. I think it's definitely really good for Pacific Island rugby having those games over there. No, I think it's a pretty good competition. It'll be interesting to see if there's any changes over the next couple of years or so. But I think it's a not too bad a spot.
Now, last year, you actually had the experience of joining a whole lot of Kiwis on the mass exodus to the United States, playing in Major League Rugby. How did you find that experience playing in what is a pretty attractive competition now, playing for the New York team?
Yeah, no, loved it over there actually. My oldest brother, Brad, had already been over there for a few years. He was playing in Seattle, so I knew a little bit about the competition, and then got the opportunity to go to New York, which we had a lot of Kiwis, and absolutely loved it. It was it was awesome experience. Enjoyed the footy. I'd never been to the States, so it was awesome traveling around there, and loved it.
How different is Major League Rugby in terms of the quality of football compared to New Zealand rugby?
Yeah, it's a lot different. Probably just mainly because most of the clubs are all so new in terms of like actually getting a bit of an identity and stuff like that. It's sort of it's always sort of changing a little bit still. New coaches, new CEOs, managers, whatever, owners, whatever it is, players coming in and out. But it was quite cool. Like so we had a lot of Kiwis, so we sort of played an expansive sort of style, and then you come up against a team that, like Atlanta, when I was there, they had a lot of South Africans, so they kicked a lot. They went to set piece, they scrummed and mauled, and then you play a team full of Aussies, and it was sort of you play all these different styles, which was quite cool. In terms of the actual like quality compared to New Zealand last year, I reckon the top 3 or 4 sides I think would compete with the NPC teams. I don't think they would have won, but in saying that, you give them more and more games against them, eventually, you know what I mean? Like, it's just getting that sort of standard all the time. And I think it looked like, watching it this year, it looked like it had gone up a level again, and I think it will keep going, which is quite cool.
Now, of course, last year, New York played Seattle in the final, and you won the competition. How important was that for New York, yourself, and the celebrations?
Yeah, no, it was cool. It was we were lucky enough to play at Red Bull Stadium, actually, the New York Red Bull soccer team. No, it was huge for New York. They'd been to the semi-finals, I think, 3 years in a row, or 2 or 3 years or whatever it was, without quite being able to get it done. So it was pretty cool. And in terms of like, they're only 6 seasons. I think it's been 6 seasons the MLR. So, if you're able to win and establish like a bit of a winning culture at the moment while it's sort of building up, I think it's pretty big for the team and the franchise, really. So, trying to sort of develop that winning, culture, I guess. But no, we had an awesome time. It was awesome playing in it, and then afterwards, we had a good few days going around New York, celebrating, which was quite cool.
Now, with the growth of Major League Rugby, Will this help improve USA rugby? Of course, USA not at the Rugby World Cup this year. They missed out. Do you think this competition is going to help develop rugby in America?
Yeah. No, I think it will. I think it's growing pretty fast over there, and the colleges are getting right into it. There's quite a lot of college rugby in it, and having the professional competition is only going to get more and more guys playing it. Like there's some serious athletes over there, and I think it's pretty awesome. They're hosting that World Cup 2031, and I've got the Women's World Cup as well. I think is 33. I think it is, which is pretty cool. You know, in terms of I think World Rugby actually sort of helps out over the next 10 years, which is all they need really. Like get a few things in place helping alongside the competition and growing the game for, if they get more and more guys playing in high school, playing in colleges, they're just going to get better and better. And the other thing is having all the guys, it's a little bit like Japan, I guess, when they were in like 2010 or the late 2000s, it wasn't quite as big, and now they've got quite a few guys that have lived there and played there and that become qualified that help the Japanese players. So it could work a little bit like that as well, I think. It'll be really interesting.
Now, you got to play with a former All Black at New York in the name of Andy Ellis, who was pretty much 40 at the time. Tell us about playing with Andy Ellis.
Yeah, no, I was actually lucky enough. Well, we ended up getting Nehi, Milner Scudder over and Waisaki. So we actually ended up having 3 All Blacks, which was pretty awesome. Andy was he's a great man. Really good for the team. And he actually played, he was still playing bloody good rugby, to be fair. He's a good man, works really hard. And he just loves it. Creates a really good team culture. He just knows what to do, really.
You're a product of St. Bede's College. Tell us about your time there at St. Bede's.
Yep. I went to St. Bede's from 2011 till 2015. I loved it there. When I started, the school was pretty successful at the time, rugby-wise as well, which was quite cool. So we were right into it, to be fair. I loved it there.
And 2015 was a great year for the St. Bede's first 15. You were in that team. Tell us about that season.
Yeah, we were lucky enough we won it that year. We won the Christchurch comp that year. We actually came down here to Dunedin and lost to Otago boys in the South Island final, which was a bit of a shame. But we were able to beat Shirley boys in the final, which was quite cool. And we had every player in the team that year as well was actually had started the school in year 9, so we had no imported players over the whole time. We had one guy. He was homeschooled year 9 and 10. He came in year 11, but apart from that, everyone had started in year 9, which is pretty cool. I don't think that had happened at St. Bede's before.
Oh wow! Now, of course, one person that's been quite influential there with rugby at the college is also the DP, the Deputy Rector, Jerry Davidson. Tell us about Jerry Davidson, because he's been involved with college rugby for a long time. Yeah,
Davo, he's a good man. He's been, he was a coach. When I first started, he was the coach for, I think he coached him for 15, 20 years. And then by the time I sort of was in the team, he was sort of helping manage it. Really good man. He's done a ton of work with the rugby program there. I think he took the first 15 to 4 top 4s in a row at one stage, which is pretty awesome. They had a big run with the Moeska Calf and all sorts of stuff. So, he had plenty of success.
Now, that same year as well, you were selected for the New Zealand schoolboys team. Tell us the feeling of putting on the black jersey for the first time, and also how'd you go against Aussie?
Yeah, it was awesome. It was pretty cool feeling having my family was there as well, which was it was pretty cool. And when we played Aussie, we had a good win against Aussie. Quite a few Wellington boys actually in that team. We were able to, I think it was 32-3 they might have scored a try. It might have been 32-8, one or the other. But it was a bit of a hiding in there. And they were quite confident as well going into it. We'd played the Australian Barbarians a few days before, and it was about 36 degrees.
Oof.
And we gave up about a 20-point lead, and we only ended up winning by 1 or 2, and they thought they were going to give us a bit of a prize, I think. But, we were able to do the job, which was good.
Now, following on from that, you also made the New Zealand under-20s in France. Tell us about that tournament and how did New Zealand go?
Yeah, it was a pretty cool tournament over there. We got knocked out in the semis. We played France in front of a pretty packed crowd in Perpignan in the semi. Actually, a few of those boys are in the French team now. Cameron Woki, Intermac, he's obviously just got injured.
Yeah.
Demba Bamba, the big prop. But we lost. It was 16-7. It was pretty tight. We just couldn't quite get it done. They were a good side, to be fair, and we just didn't play very well on the day. It was a shame. Yeah, they were a good side though.
Now, speaking about France, of course, the All Blacks Saturday morning, went down to France. Not always the best feeling when the All Blacks lose a test match, but let's talk about that game. Where do you think the team might need to go to the next level after that game?
Yeah, I thought we actually looked pretty good in the first half. It was almost... because we were down 9-8 at half time, but it felt like we'd really sort of dominated that first half. And then we came out, played well for about 5 or 10 minutes, and then I guess, they sort of got on top of us. Our kicking game, they probably sort of dominated the kicking battle in that second half, and then our discipline let us down a little bit, but I guess we were just under the pump, and then they were able to bring a few big boys off the bench, and they started to dominate physically through the middle, and then, they dominated the territory though, and our discipline let us down a bit, and then we give them enough chance. They're going to score those tries at the end. But no, I thought we looked good in the first half. Like if we could play like that against them, it could have been a different story. I think getting Frizzell, having Blackadder there now, Blackadder, getting Geordie Barrett back, all that will help a lot as well, I think.
Now, of course, you are a lock. Tell us, what does it take to be like the likes of Sam Whitelock and Brodie Retallick, and what do you need to do to develop your game to be like them?
I think they're sort of just pretty like relentless sort of characters, to be fair, aren't they? They're just into everything. They're consistent every week. And they just seem to be everywhere, to be fair, on the field. I think that'd be the biggest takeaway from those two. They're literally into everything.
Now, of course, speaking about the World Cup, one of the problems, my fellow rugby commentator, Adam Julian, we always have a good old argument about this. Rolling balls. Are you a big fan, or should we stop them?
Nah, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan. Big part of the game. Can't get rid of the rolling ball.
No, exactly. Now, of course, Taranaki at home this Saturday. You mentioned that. What players does Otago have to look out for in the Taranaki roster?
They've got a few dangerous players, I think. I think if we can take care of sort of Peter Gus in the forward pack, and maybe Caleb Bashir has been going good, and then obviously really dangerous back three with Kenny Naholo, Nepkins, and Perifetta. So if we can take care of them, I think it'll go a long way to get to winning the game.
All right, so two big games this weekend. All Blacks, Namibia. Who's your pick?
Yeah, I think we'll clean that up.
And the more important one, who's going to win, the Warriors or the other team?
Yeah. Nah, Warriors, they've got to win this one. Is
Yeah.
Sean Johnson going to play?
Let's hope so. Let's hope that knee that he had, or whatever it was, is not a problem this week. So let's hope so. Yeah.
Yeah.
All good. Will, it's been fantastic having you on the Huddy Hui tonight. All the best for this weekend and the rest of the season.
No, beauty. Thanks, mate. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Cheers, Will. That was Will Tucker joining us on the Huddy Hui tonight. And a promising player from Otago and the Highlanders. And no doubt watch out for him for the rest of the season and also next year. He's a promising lock indeed. Now, our connection with the Deep South in Dunedin. Our next guest is Ben Hazelwood. Now, he is actually part of the group called the Heavy Breathers. Now, their story is impressive. They recently took part in the Dunedin Marathon, raising awareness of mental health and sparking that chat. We caught up earlier today with Ben Hazelwood, and what a story it is. So sit back and watch and listen to these fine 33 young men that have done an awesome feat. We're here with Ben Hazelwood from the Heavy Breathers. They just took part in the Emerson's Dunedin Marathon on Sunday. And Ben, how is the body after Sunday's marathon?
Pretty broken. Yeah, that knees are locking up and staircase is pretty hard.
Now, tell us where we started the marathon, where did it finish, and what were some of the trickiest parts of the course?
We started the marathon in Portobello out on the Otago Peninsula, headed out north to the end of the peninsula, did a loop, then wrapped all the way back around the harbour to Emerson's. There was definitely a lot of tricky spots, but definitely after the 30k mark, that was when it got hard. The legs were really hurting, and it was probably a bit further than any of us were ever used to running, so that was just kind of an unknown area.
And what was your overall time for the marathon?
Personally, I got 4 hours and 22 minutes.
Oh, that's not a good effort. Well done. And so, Ben, you're a product of St. Pat's Town, but you're down there in Otago. What are you doing down there in Otago during the day?
I'm currently here studying commerce degree, like many other of the boys down here. Pretty classic, yeah.
And they're not on Castle Street, are you, these days? So.
Nah, that was me last year. Kind of moved away from that area.
Now, our main focus here is to actually talk about the Heavy Breathers. This is a really special group of young men that have come together to campaign for and to run to raise awareness of mental health and the questions around that. Tell us about how the idea of the Heavy Breathers came about.
So it came about a couple of months ago when a couple of us were quite keen to give a marathon a crack. And for a bit of motivation, we're like, we'll do it for charity. And we sent it into our big group chat of mates down here, and pretty much every single person said, yep. No, I'm not sure they knew what they were signing up for, but that's how it all kicked off.
And how many are there of you in this group, and who are the members?
There's 33 of us that make up this group. I won't ring off all their names, but we're kind of made up from a bunch of Wellington boys, from Wellington College, Hibs, and St. Pat's Town, with a couple of boys from up in Auckland. And there are about 5 extra boys that joined in from Christchurch University that have come down and joined us on the day.
Oh, that's fantastic. Now, you linked up in particular with an organisation that's called Spark That Chat. Who are they, and how did you develop this relationship with them?
So when we first started, our main goal was to find a charity, and we looked through many, and this group Spark That Chat really kind of resonated with the group, because they were pretty much just the same as us, just a bunch of young lads trying to make a difference and just wanting to live life to like the fullest and spread a bunch of froth, really.
And also there was a production company too, I believe, attached with you guys as well.
Yeah. So, is that for the Spark That Chat?
Oh, yes, yep.
Yeah. So, Misfits started off as a production company, and their group themselves lost a friend to suicide. So it kind of changed what they were all about, and it moved into this foundation, really just focusing on sparking as many chats around the country between men and anyone really.
Now, of course, when you started up this group, the Heavy Breathers, you set yourself a goal of 10,000. However, you have gone well past that. Tell us what you're currently sitting on at the moment.
We're currently at around $94,000.
Oh, wow. Cheapers.
We've got a couple of fundraising things that have still got a bit of money to come through, so we're getting very, very close to $100,000, yeah.
That is fantastic. And really, $10,000 is what you guys initially aimed up for. So, of course, to get $100,000, that's pretty motivating stuff. You guys must be pretty proud with the efforts that you guys have gone to.
Yeah, it's been awesome. Definitely this big explosion of support that's happened over the past 2 months has really motivated the boys, and definitely helped a lot of us get across the line when we were really in the hurt locker.
Now, you mentioned the hurt locker and the marathon and how you are rather sore, a bit bruised at the moment, but tell us about the training that the team has done to prepare for this marathon, and the total amount of distances you guys had to do in terms of your training.
Yeah, we definitely had a unorthodox training schedule leading up to it, with no one really having any clue, and we all just kind of decided we'll run when we feel like running, and that ended up with us clocking over 6,500 kilometres as a group. Yeah.
That's pretty impressive stuff. And so, now, of course, in July, one of your group of you guys had a great friend that passed away. Tell us how the passing of Tom Murray, who, of course, was a rugby player here in Wellington, motivated the Heavy Brothers even further.
Yeah, that was that finding out that news definitely rocked the boys, seeing us firsthand so close to home when we were already doing this campaign. It really brought us all way closer and kind of added another layer of meaning to what we were doing, which resulted in a massive explosion of support. And we're all really, really happy with how it's all turned out, and how we've used this to spread a positive message and lead by example and spark as many chats as within ourselves, hopefully sparking chats to others around New Zealand.
Since July, the team, of course, went further with your Heavy Breathers campaign. And tell us about the level of response that you guys got, because your profile grew across the country.
Yeah, it was pretty surprising, really. It got a lot of traction, a lot of media attention, a lot of news stations wanting to do stories on us, which really just got the word out. And it just really exploded. It was all a bit surreal still.
And what are some of the other fundraising efforts that you guys have done in the build-up to the marathon?
Yeah, so back when our goal was 10,000, we hosted a music event which people bought tickets for. That was the first one. After that, we've had a number of things. A few companies have pulled together raffles, and we did our own raffle for people down here in Dunedin, as well as our friends back in Wellington called Hex. They set up some supporters tees that everyone was able to purchase if they wanted to donate and get something out of it, I guess.
Now, they come to the day of the marathon. How was it for the group of you leading up to the marathon on the day? and who were some of the support crew you had on board?
Yeah, so we with the support crew we had on board, we had heaps of family that had come down, as well as a lot of mates that they all kind of just got their hands. They just went straight into it. Were placed around the marathon distances, helping us out all the way, definitely spurring us on. It was a pretty nerve-wracking morning for a lot of us. This was just the first time for it. Well, pretty much everyone. It was the first time. Extremely nerve-wracking. Just wanting to get it over with, and yeah.
And did all of you complete the marathon?
Yeah. So due to our unconventional training, we ended up losing 4 of the boys to injuries, with some pretty hectic injuries, seeing stress fractures in the legs and ligaments. But we had 29 on the start line, with 29 finishing at the end of the day.
Well, that is fantastic. Well done, Ben. And of course, while you're running in this marathon, you know, it's a big test, 42 odd kilometres. Besides the support crew, what is it, the other motivations that keep you going, the mindset as you keep going through this race?
It's such a different type of sport that I've ever competed with, because it's such a long time. And just thinking of the message that we're spreading and how big this has become was a massive motivation for me and a lot of the boys, and hoping that what we do can just save one life at a time. Just, yeah.
Now, of course, the marathon's all done, and your page, your Give a Little page, etc., is still running. What are the other plans post this marathon for the Heavy Brothers? What else have you got in store?
We're going to keep this page open for a couple of weeks as it all kind of wraps up and the word gets out. There's a few things that the boys want to do. That's the next step, is we're going to come together and see what we can do next to use this platform, because it has gotten so big, to just keep spreading this message of sparking chats, saving one life at a time, and just looking after your mates.
Now, have you got plans to do another marathon again, yourself or the Heavy Breathers group?
We'll see how we go. I might have to wait a bit to get how much pain I was in and just remember the good parts, but yeah, that could be on the cards.
Now, of course, you mentioned about some of the other fundraisings that are going on and potentially maybe another marathon. Is there any other plans for the Heavy Brothers besides, you know, continue on to keep the page open? Have you got any future plans?
Not exactly at the moment. We're all just kind of had a bit of a dip, just chilling out after this hectic few weeks we've had. Yeah, our plans really are just to keep on leading by example, spreading this message and sparking chats, because it has been really positive for us as a group of boys. It has changed a lot, just even our conversations with each other. It's night and day from before we started this to now.
Now, of course, Ben, you mentioned you're down there at Otago Uni. How long have you got left down there for your degree?
This is my second to last year, so I've got one more to go, and then that'll be it, into the real world.
Well, Ben, you and the Heavy Breathers have been a real motivation for a lot of people, not just down in Otago, but around New Zealand as well. So, you know, great work on what you guys have done. You've really done a great campaign, and you've really made awareness by your efforts. And, of course, you never know, your group might be doing ultra marathons before you know it.
Yes, who knows? Who knows?
That is Ben Hazel with Ben. Many thanks for coming on the Huddy Hui. Take care, and all the best for the rest of the year.
Thank you. Thank you.
And what a great interview with Ben Hazelwood, and well done to all you guys down there in Dunedin, and all those people that have helped bring together the Heavy Breathers to get them to do what they did last weekend, to run a marathon and do it for a great cause. Is fantastic effort. So well done to you all, and hope your bodies recover. And no doubt, if you haven't donated to the Heavy Breathers, you can still do so via their Give a Little page. You can also follow them on Facebook and Instagram as well. Well, speaking of which, this is our 99th episode, and so next Wednesday, or someday next week, will be our 100th episode, and also will be our final episode of the year. So we'll let you know. We're trying to work on a special guest for our 100th episode, and we're also going to put together some highlights from all the other episodes of the Huddy Hui we have done since we started the Huddy Hui in 2020. Now, also this sad day, we also have a game to bring you. It is going to be women's rugby. It's the New Zealand Universities team taking on the New Zealand Defence Force this Saturday, 16th of September, at Davis Field, Trentford, Manapaha, 2:30 p.m. And that coverage of that will start at 2:15. Do note, it will only be a game that will be filmed, live streamed. There'll be no commentary. But there will be a score, time, so you'll be able to keep up with what's happening out there in the middle. So that is the 99th episode of the Huddy Hui tonight. Tune in next week for our 100th and final episode of 2023. I'm Brad Hudson. Ciao for now.